Hello, perceptive readers. This is James Lynch, and I have a cup of coffee. I want to share a couple of thoughts with you today because it addresses a subject matter on such a very, very important level that, yes, it actually fell into the category of what we learn when Jesus did respond sometimes on matters. I mean, when it was very serious, I'm talking like on his trial by the religious leaders. If you'll notice, Jesus got to the point where he wasn't speaking a lot. And then they even started saying, well, aren't you going to defend yourself in this way or that way? So there was a statement, and I believe it was by well, I know the high priest and the Sanhedrin and the things that was around them were saying a lot of stuff that sometimes, Jesus responded to, and then even Pilate responded. He had to respond to Pilate for a clear, direct question that was made of him, that was on such a level where Jesus was in his mind, so we know it was correct and right, where Jesus was saying, yes, and you better believe it because it is a fact. It is a truth. I mean, he didn't say it like that. But I'm giving you the premise of what this podcast that I'm sharing with you right now is actually on. Because on one hand, some of the information that went through my mind today, this morning, see, on one sense, I'm always like, oh, okay, all right, I heard this in different settings before or environments before, but I just go ahead and move on because as some people said, you just can't throw a stone at every animal that come across your path or whatever, and I'm saying it in a respectful way, even if they're barking at you. Okay, so with that being said, though, the information that I am sharing with you this morning, uh, I believe it is truly something that Jehovah God and Jesus will want me to share with you. I truly believe that. But I got to give you a caveat here because it's so funny because this same information is not something that I would literally, I'm telling you, be yelling from the rooftops or out in the street. It would actually be, okay, time for this plug. It would actually be in the coffee places or whatever. Actually talking to, really, I wouldn't even say a couple of people. I probably would say probably just one other person that I'm actually talking to on this matter because it gets into prophecy. It gets into, again, respecting the authority of God's word, especially about not going beyond what is written. So when it comes to certain prophecies, this is what I would say very wise spiritual men and women have come to conclusions for centuries that it's like, yeah, my thoughts kind of going along in this way, but I realize since it's not something that, as persons have said, prophecy is really mainly concretely with confidence made with understanding of it in hindsight. So it's almost like it's after it happened that you look through the Old Testament and then the Greek scriptures where Jesus was fulfilling everything that was about all those many prophecies made about him in the Old Testament, that now people know, yep, that was Jesus, that was the Son of God. You see, because it was after all the stuff that he was doing and fulfilling. Because while Jesus was on the earth, what was a lot of people saying? Could this be? What, is it him? Is this true? Is a better world coming? You see what I'm saying? So it was like they were still asking those really of him because even while he was in their presence, not everybody could recognize it right away. You see? So they kept asking questions. And then Jesus one time basically told Peter, or asked Peter, who do you say I am? That's what Jesus was saying, or what have you. And Peter knew who Jesus was. You see, he knew who he was. He knew the truth of his words. And Jesus went on to say this on not only to Peter, but to other persons about, you know, blessed basically are you because God revealed this to you. See, he would say that at times. He would also mention that blessed are the ones who believe without seeing. But again, believe, you see, because they know that the Spirit has opened their heart and received it. You see, and that's the way Jesus would talk. Well, it's the same thing with a prophecy, and this is what I'm talking about, the respect. Uh, what has really been um, emphasized to persons who God is actually, still creating an administration throughout the earth. It's not that these persons are in those positions, okay? But according to Isaiah chapter 32, he has already started refining their minds with knowledge, spiritual knowledge, you see. And let me tell you, if the way that Moses were using the men's name, who I can't really pronounce right now, I have to look their names up, to actually build stuff, like the temple, the tent that was back then, but also in order how to organize and give people their justice. You see, immersion on that level. See, there was even different levels for that. I mean, it would start with just really about 10 people. You see, that would kind of like be under the charge, or households or what have you, that would be under the charge of one person. You see, and then if a case got real hard, then it would be a group of those sections of tribes or families or what have you, that could then take it to the next level if it was a difficult case, and then it would go up several levels. Levels, I can't remember how many levels at this time, or whether it was 5 or 7 levels or whatever. But all the same, the real tough cases then would only go to Moses. Okay. Well, let me tell you, see, referencing Isaiah chapter 32, it does mention about the heavenly government that was pointing towards Jesus and was pointing towards the ones who actually go to heaven. Uh, what they're experiencing on this earth now, see, not just an experience of being, um, having submission and things of that nature beaten into them or whatever, but it involves other factors of what? Knowing how the household of God works and functions. And I want to emphasize that even though Jesus didn't go around, saying, you shall be called Christians. He was just saying, you will be called my followers. You will be called my disciples. And how would the people know that you are my followers and disciples? Because of the love that you have among yourselves. See, not abuse, but actually the love that you have among yourself. And that type of love, you can read accounts in the scriptures where, remember, how was healing done? Sometimes it was done by Jesus just saying a word. So oftentimes it seemed like it was being done even to the level where he even spit on the ground. I mean, and then rubbed medicine, if you will, upon the person's eyes, touching them, you see, letting them express their joy is sometimes we're doing obeisance to them, to him, or what have you. And you see other accounts where, remember, one woman who even knew she had according to the law, really no business at all, even being in that vicinity and then actually going and touching Jesus, which ended up healing her. You see, in one account, according to um, not only the law, but I would say again the strictness of the law that certainly the Pharisees would have carried out in that way. You see what I'm saying? Certainly the strictness. That's what I want to mention. Oh man, they would have just tore that woman apart if they had their way. But what did Jesus do? He understood the factors of everything of why she did what she did, and then he just told her, your faith has basically made you well and things of that nature. And he didn't jump on her at all. Uh, put it this way, you can read that account. What I want to share though is we already know at least the ones in heaven. That's what I want to mention. The ones who are of the heavenly court of kings and priests have come from men and women. I want to make that clear. They have come from men and women. I'm not stating anything new. This is the way it is set up in heaven. Yet on the earth, the administration that Isaiah chapter 32 is still referencing, you could really see the way matters are going to be still set up on the earth and continue along in that line. And I don't want you to get depressed about it because, yes, the reason why people feel certain ways about different governments and other people and things of that nature at times is because of that mismanagement, negligence, and abuse of power that are experienced by some. I like to continue to emphasize to you that just because a certain group um, uh, may get a bad name in this way or what have you, sometimes it has come about. Why? Because of the person that that lost their way. And then once that person either come back to their senses or somebody actually takes the person's place, then the proper understanding of certain matters and the balanced measurement of justice and mercy is being taught and shared once again, then things get better. And people have seen this happen time and time again. Sometimes it actually goes through almost like a cycle, the way things are right now, where things will get better. Then somebody might come along and just start seem like they need to drink more coffee than what they normally do, or maybe a better drink than what they normally do. All and you can tell I'm in the coffee shop now. But here is what I want to share with you. Sometimes, you know, a person you will encounter uh, will do something or mention something so on another level that your mind may go like my mind may go, huh? I know what prophecy says on this matter. Yet here is now a person who is truly want to take on that mantle solely, quite possibly, for themselves. And if that's what they're doing, then you start seeing two or three other prophecies that was talked about even in the Old Testament that ends up saying, whoa, could this be more than just a symbolic? But could it actually have physical manifestations of what we basically learned was still more happening in the spirit realm? You realize that's a possibility. But all the same, this is what I was going to share, that I was sharing with you of what goes through a person's mind at times in the days that we live in, where where people are what they call shocking and jockeying for reach, authority, and power. Um, Sometimes they're taking on authority in such a way that it is due because of the injustice of what they've seen, and yet to actually try to totally how can I put it, um, start condemning, you see, God's house in the process or what have you, then that's when you just have to sometimes stand up. And this is what I'm going to say. According to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and then you can read the rest of the letters. And I always like to emphasize Isaiah chapter 32, that when God established true worship, and also Isaiah chapter 2, when God established true worship and established his house, you see, they all would know who God is and they will worship him in spirit and truth. That involved also the law and freedom of love. Love involves expressions of gratitude. It involves, once again, expressions you can see from different accounts, physical interactions at some. And then the Bible still also say, don't encroach upon anybody else's rights. So there's a lot of room for principles and conscience in those areas. And the point is, this is what people need to continue to learn, is this. There doesn't need to be a law to stop somebody from really, you see, let's say somebody want to do something good for you, and they end up making you something in this way or that way. It's amazing how things that's on a physical level, persons have MK'd it, yeah, that's my expression, into the internet realm of matters. And I've told you that's part of the problem of what they've done today with the control. They've made matters that's supposed to still be the physical realm, everyday life, and actually then turned it into trying to force it into the internet realm, so that it's more of a control, it's more of conditioning, it's more manipulation and things of that nature. And that's why people are confused and controlled at times in that way. We're all the same. This is what I still want to mention. This is why people don't talk to one another at times. The information that I heard today basically helped me to see, okay, this is why persons don't talk to one another. This is why persons, see, I just recently renamed my park books to the James Poeartistry, on my PayPal account. They can accept tips and support from anybody. You see, from anybody around the world. You got a MasterCard, you use PayPal, you use these other different platforms that you can actually give me, you see, a tip of $1. And so, if this is the case, I told you God is helping to reveal these things to me on the way that the world has been functioning at times. So if this is the case, where if a person wants to say that, well, he actually ascribed to the teachings of Christianity. Okay, well, listen to this. Listen to this. In one sense, this is what I mean by Jesus didn't go around and said, you will be called Christians. He went around and said, you will be my disciples. You will be my followers. How will people know you are my disciples and my followers? Because of the love you have among yourselves. So those other names, like calling persons Christians and things of that nature, It was just something that started becoming accepted because this is what, if you want to call it, the state called Jesus followers or the religious leaders or what have you. And God just went on ahead and allowed it or what have you. All the same, since this is the only way that people understand the teachings of the Holy Bible, then when persons start saying that it is the Christians who are causing all of these problems or what have you, I stand before you today and I tell you, it isn't. No, it's not. And according to prophecy, according to what Jesus said, he mentioned that people would hate them just because they love him, just because they love his teachings. Uh, sure, there are a mixture of a lot of different belief systems that people have come into the church. Paul already said, according to prophecy, that's what would happen. Uh, I mean, you can see all sorts of different spiritistic belief systems that God does not agree with, and yet I won't go into some of these different accounts where these different persons were at that God dealt with at times. It's almost like, oh, he knew he was going to still bring them right along, get themselves together. And that's what's still going on today. So the foundation of the Holy Bible is still there. It's still here. And you still got people, you still got men and women who know clearly what is going on in this way and that way. They're loving, but at the same time, they'll let you know that maybe it may be something you're doing at this time that's like, you know what, hey, that's not going to float my boat that way now. You have the choice to do it. But just know, eventually, as things are in heaven, it will be upon the earth. One day you will no longer even have desire, even to do this in this way or that way. And I've told you before, there are different things happening to us and stuff in the spirit realm where we even think we're making our daily decisions and routine in life, all because it came from our heart, and it was actually our hearts and minds still being steered by other forces other than just God's word, the Bible. So, one of those forces in prophecy, it does talk about actually a woman. Let me tell you, that's why I was saying, that's interesting that it does talk about a woman who would manipulate all the religions on that level and actually take control, uh, all over the world. You see? So, the thing that I want you to know is the Holy Bible is still the foundation of what I share with you all these accounts for. Yes. And, you know, I'm not going to tell you something wrong or from the Holy Bible. I'll tell you when something is my opinion. You see, too, about how I feel. But I told you, just like when it deals with prophecy, I don't even like to get into that unless, in the next coffee shop, you can give me some Baileys or whatever. No, I'm just joking. Well, maybe I'm not. But see, that's my whole point. We got God's word that still makes for a better world. And the thing that I continue to have learned and been instructed is this: you still deal with the individual or individuals, you see, one at a time if you have to. Hey, today you got AI able to manage so many other things, then why not be able to still just concentrate on the individual when the individual is having questions, when the individual seriously just needs to be addressed. instead of making an excuse or why you won't address that individual directly. See, some of these ways, it just goes to show, or what some would say even cowardly ways, is because they know if they just address that individual on that level, it will be a whole lot clearer and have less wiggle room, so to speak, to get to the bottom of the problem. So the whole point of what I'm continuing to share with you, and I want to emphasize to you that no, you know, God's followers are still, you see, the ones that he talks about in Matthew chapter 5. You just read that account of Matthew chapter 5. Those are people who love Jesus, show humility towards Jesus. They laugh, they cry. You see, they help others. Those are the ones that, from at least times past by now, are even up in heaven. They realize the importance of starting with Matthew chapter 5 with any individual to start, to resolve an issue in this way and that way. For the record, so to speak. And not a lot of decisions that was just made behind different people's backs that actually made situations even more worse than what they could have been. So I just want to let you know the Holy Bible, you see, what God has planned for the future is a lot of goodness. He's emphasized that in so many places that he has more goodness and wonderful things for us than what can be done at this time, because he's still given that opportunity to show what was the result of this issue in the first place of Satan developing his system and the world that he wanted to develop. Is what I told you is very strict and very harsh, you see, and then God's way of love, and he allowed for that to be seen by persons. And with that issue being resolved and settled, it's going to be nothing but wonderful good stuff throughout eternity. And I'm telling you, we're not going to be boring people. We're not going to be unhappy people. We're not going to be persons afraid to show love. And we're going to be still generous towards one another, even though we're all going to be having abundance, you see, according to that. And it's going to be that way. And that's the fact of the matter. So take care of yourself, perceptive reader. Have a wonderful day.